Hello, hello, Fox friends. Let's move lo-fi to the audience. Stay group today. Hope everybody's doing great. Seeing some familiar faces from the retreat. Good to see you guys again in the virtual space, as well as other foxes here. So yeah, I posted the agenda in Public Tokenomics earlier. We don't have anything earth-shattering today, but I did want to give a good overview of various things. Of course, important updates on different aspects of tokenomics. But we won't get super in depth today since everybody's kind of already shifting. I just dropped my fucking keyboard. Shifting into tokenomics mode. Bear with me here. Okay. So treat. So yeah, we had such a great time. It was amazing just to see a lot of people face to face that previously maybe just only knew through handles, and those kind of face to face interactions are important. I don't miss going into an office at all. I think offices are depressing places for creativity and inspiration, and it's just not. It's like an anachronism, I think. But that said, like when we had a centralized office with ShapeShift, it was good for kind of bonding and like making friends, and that was really meaningful. A lot of the most meaningful friendships I have today are from centralized ShapeShift, and I think there's a lot of others too. There's people that met their spouses at ShapeShift. So the DAO retreat provided a great way of getting that sort of face-to-face interaction, and that's so important, especially as we all fight through this together in a bear market. So that was great. We covered a lot of ground. Just to focus on the stuff that I presented, I led a strategy session, and we kind of talked about high level trends, opportunities, threats. We did a SWOT analysis where we surfaced a lot of different things. Specifically, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And one of the takeaways, at least for myself from the retreat, was kind of owning that strategy piece. So basically, I didn't want that to be an exercise where we briefly thought of this stuff and then there was no action resulting from that. Just talking about that stuff is helpful, but with sort of actionable stuff in mind, we're going to do a strategy session, I think sometime, maybe about mid-January, once everybody gets up and running again after the holidays. I'll lead a session on that and kind of use that SWOT analysis that so many smart foxes contributed to as the starting point, and then maybe dig a little bit deeper. I think that would be useful, especially in light of the product roadmap that we also talked about. And yeah, at the very worst, maybe you'll get bored after a while and sign out in that session, but I think it'll be engaging for everybody. And that'll be separate from the tokenomics stuff we usually have. I'm happy to just kind of own that piece coming out of the retreat. But yeah, it really was an amazing, inspiring week, just to hang out with everybody. Also looking ahead to next year. So it's hard to believe, but tokenomics, this current phase of tokenomics is already drawing to an end. That began in July. A 6-month term is ending imminently here. So TLDR, I'm sticking around, not going anywhere. You couldn't pull me away from this project right now. This is awesome. I love fighting through a bear market with you guys. So over the holidays, I'll kind of be sitting back and just crafting a new proposal. Nothing groundbreaking. Still going to be taking all time locked Fox in terms of finances. Just kind of setting revised goals and kind of doing a retro in terms of where we've been and then thinking about where we want to go. But we'll be getting that queued up in the coming weeks here. And that's kind of those two work stream related updates. So let's go ahead and shift over to the runway, because there have been some meaningful changes here. Actually, I'm going to start with the Rari loan because this does impact the runway, and we've had um, it's exciting. We're not going to have to talk about this much longer. So let me post the Rari loan analysis in the chat. We are tantalizingly close, guys, to putting this fucking thing to bed. So this shows a remaining amount of 132,000 in pool 7. This is pending a payment of 100,000 USD or 100,000 FEI towards this amount or towards the loan. That is queued up. Hasn't been executed yet, but that represents the past 2 weeks. We've TMDC authorized 50K a week. So you kind of see this here. But the big takeaway is at this point, we are, very, very close to being done. At the same time, the APR on this thing is climbing much higher again. We saw this with Pool 79 too, which got very close or very high as we winnowed it down towards zero. So the thought here would be, and we just talked about this in the TMDC chat, is there's general consensus that after that 100K payment goes through, we should probably just pay the remaining amount in one fell swoop and be done with it. This would avoid having to pay any additional interest, which, currently, if we were just to sit on it for another month, hypothetically, if we did that, would be like another 18K of interest. And also, especially in the wake of the Rari hack that happened earlier this year, just take that 80 million Fox out of the smart contract and not put that back in the treasury and not have to deal with that smart contract risk. I think it's highly unlikely that, anything would happen. This wasn't affected, or this loan wasn't affected by that hack, and it seems to be fine. But, just for peace of mind, it'll be very nice to have that Fox out. So tentatively, the TMDC will consider paying off or authorizing paying off the remainder of that loan on Thursday, and we are well within reach of being done with it. In terms of debt service towards this thing, and very, very close. Let's see. What does this mean for our runway? Let me post the runway in the channel, in the stage chat. Okay, so with respect to the runway, I've gone ahead and removed that pool 7 interest column. This is where previously we're assuming a worst case scenario where we're paying the minimum amount, just the interest on that loan to avoid the principal increasing every month. And that was just sort of ad infinitum, just throughout the months. But of course, we're very close to paying this off. On the other hand, we need to be we're going to be paying presumably a big lump sum towards this. So I just, as a quick hack, I put in 130K because that's the remaining amount on that. But the other change I've made here is notice the monthly budget, monthly spend basically for all the work streams combined. In January, that's down to 206,000. So this reflects an absence of support work stream budget. It's very important to note that it remains an open question of whether or not there will be a spend. There is a proposal to fund that work stream working through the governance process. There's also an alternate proposal that would put this under ops. So this is subject to an increase if depending on which proposal passes, if any of them pass. But for the time being, there is no clear spend approved. Hence, I'm just factoring in that possibility here. Of course, we'll revise as that gets clarified. If the support workstream did not have any further spend going forward, that's just it's down to 206K, which is quite a lot lower than where we were before all these the cuts. That was like closer to 550 a month. Another interesting, I think, retreat related detail is there seemed to be a consensus from just about everybody at the retreat, and I want to be careful to say almost everybody. I don't want to. We didn't like do a poll specifically, but there was a definitely like kind of a sense that there should not be any more budget cuts, maybe other than just like small little operational things. Like in other words, this is a lean and mean team we have at ShapeShift that's highly effective, but further cuts would really hamstring our ability to move forward in the bear market. Hence, it's we should move forward as a DAO with the assumption that we need to make it through this bear market in a way that does not further impact our or reduce our monthly spend. Otherwise, we're going to have issues executing. Firebomb. That is a witty comment. Further cuts, and you'd just be left with a mean team. Man, that's the truth right there. Yeah, we want lean and mean, not mean. Yeah, kind of just looking at the runway here. Actually, it does occur to me that let's see if this stable coin amount does not yet include the 100 that's going to go through. That's probably more of like 230 of the total spend remaining, which would be the remainder of the loan. But basically, where this leaves us is we are good for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months based on all this. But in actuality, we're closer to 11, assuming that we execute those loan payments and spend that those stable reserves on Pool 7. So one thing to keep in mind is the TMDC would likely, I get the sense that TMDC is likely okay with continuing to accrue stables at least to the point where though that payment, the remaining amount was made up on Pool 7. So that would basically help to defray the cost of paying the remainder of that in one fell swoop. And then another important factor to keep in mind here, and this brings me to the next point, is we have a new source of stables in the Treasury incoming, and this is thanks to our long-term bond offering on Arbor. Currently, there are, or at least the last check, there were 53,000 USDC worth of purchases on that. So, and this is not reflected in the current Treasury because those funds have not been yet transferred yet into the Treasury. The offering ends, I believe, tomorrow morning, and once that happens, the funds should be automatically transferred into the Treasury. As far as the remaining bonds, there's some question of like how to move forward. We'll talk about that more on Thursday. But the key takeaway here is that thanks to this offering, the DAO has raised at least 53,000 USDC, possibly more. I get the sense that maybe there might be more takers in the final, say, 12 to 15 hours here, just because we're seeing an uptick as that end date approaches. So this is great though, because it's just another, even that amount is nothing to sneeze at. That's if we were to get a little over 50K, that's a full quarter of our monthly budget. So pretty cool stuff, and great to see that there's counterparties out there that believe in this project enough to engage in a longer term type of bond. So all that said, assuming, basically not even assuming, we just have to complete this offering. But this would, like adding that amount of stables would essentially bring us into October. So at that point, we would be looking at like a full, basically 11 months, give or take a little bit of runway. And also moving forward without that awful headwind of the constant bond payment or Pool 7 payments. So really good stuff in terms of that. Kind of the big questions moving forward is how do we proceed with stablecoin accrual? Like I said, the general understanding on the TMDC was to at least continue accruing those stables LUSD via our bond protocol offering to offset the cost of paying the remainder of that loan. beyond that, I think it's an open question. Some of the community are eager to see the discounted bond offerings end and perhaps substituted with just open market Fox sales or no sales at all for a certain period of time. But we'll be in a position to basically start to talk about that and finally be able to make that decision within the next few weeks here after that cost is made up. In any case, this is where we're at right now. It's good to see that we are, reasonably close to a full year of runway, and that's not factoring in any revenue whatsoever. And of course, the DAO does make revenue. So, yeah, I think this is a pretty good. Could it be better? Could we have 2 years? Yes. Does the bear market have the potential to drag on for 2 years or something? Yes, it does. But we're in a reasonably good position, in my humble opinion. And in terms of Hourglass, we do have 2 long-term bond offerings going. There's only been a handful of counterparties on Hourglass. The terms are similar to Arbor, but currently there's only just been a few $100s worth of USDC coming in via that route. But this is not time blocked, so we'll just kind of keep that open and active. No Foxes have been deposited in Hourglass. And then finally, we actually I'll just pause there in case anybody has any thoughts or comments. Cool. So finally, we have a less exciting update, and this actually goes back to last week, but ElasticSwap unfortunately suffered a exploit. I believe it was a week ago, and they suffered some losses. There are ShapeShift assets in ElasticSwap. I believe both Fox and Foxy. Interestingly enough, those were the only pools that weren't affected. For whatever reason, the exploit did not impact those tokens. The reasons for this exploit, I believe, are still being researched by ElasticSwap. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we did we withdraw our tokens from ElasticSwap in the wake of this?
Yes, Jim Kent.
Hope
it's okay. I just jumped on stage. I can't raise hand. Yes, we were alerted as soon as that exploit happened, and the DAO did remove its both Fox and Foxy from ElasticSwap. So those are both sitting back in the DAO treasury currently.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, we were able to manage that risk, or at least eliminate that smart contract risk, since there's a very clear and present danger here of things getting exploited. With respect to the VFox, you guys might remember VFox actually did make a strategic allocation into ElasticSwap. So this was designed and basically intended to be a long-term sort of allocation. As with any of these, there would be no plans to. And really, VFox doesn't even have the ability under those terms to sell ElasticSwap now if it wanted to. I don't want to speak for the rest of VFox members, but I think this is something that, even though it certainly hasn't been good for the price of ElasticSwap, and it must be quite stressful for the team. And it does really underscore the risk of smart contracts. These are very talented individuals working on this, and it was audited, but yet it still had an exploit. I remain bullish on this project over the long term. I think it can come back just because it's such a unique value prop, this rebasing AMM model. It's super unique and powerful. But that said, this is a notable setback, I think, and one that does reduce, at least over the short to intermediate term, the chances of this showing any sort of significant appreciation for the DAO in terms of its ElasticSwap holdings.
Well said, Ken. It's just part of the risk of making bets on new, especially innovative protocols that are kind of breaking the status quo and experimenting. It was cool to see that an MEV bot actually front ran attacker. And so the majority of the funds have been refunded in accordance with the Elastic Swap bounty program. So I don't have all the details, but yeah, I agree. I'm still hoping for Elastic will recover from this. I also apparently Fox and Foxy pool was not even the only pool that wasn't affected. I'm not exactly sure why, but yeah, obviously I think we should wait until they go live again to consider redepositing that liquidity. There probably isn't going to be a ton of usage on ElasticSwap in the interim, but yeah, apparently somehow the Foxy and Fox pool was not impacted by the exploit, supposedly. I don't know if it was not vulnerable to it or if it just wasn't attacked.
Yeah, that's interesting. It'd be a good question for their team. And thanks for the reminder, Willie, on the MEV bot. So this is super interesting. I don't know if that was just some sort of self-interested MEV bot or somebody operating the bot, or there was some sort of white hat element, but that did defray. Do you know, like, did that basically or reclaim most of those losses?
Yeah, I'm not exactly clear on how much has been reclaimed. I guess it sounds like so the attack was valued at roughly 825,000, and I think currently they have 625,000 in their treasury. I'm reading through this proposal right now, so it sounds like, even though I don't have the details, it sounds like they might have recovered 625K, or it's possible that those were funds that were already in their treasury, and the funds they've recovered are separate from that. I'm not clear on that, but it does say that the majority of that 825,000 funds were recovered, and they paid out basically a bug bounty to the owner of the MEV bot for responsibly returning those funds.
Only in crypto. It's so far out, an exploit, MEV bots. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and really, I mean, that's karma for the attacker to have spent all that time preparing for the attack and then only to get front run because of their greed. They didn't set high enough gas costs, I guess. And pretty amazing just this dark forest of MEV bots out there looking at the mempool and seeing any transaction that could be profitable and being able to detect an attack and actually rebuild that same transaction and broadcast it before the block confirms is pretty amazing.
Seriously. Karma is real, even on the blockchain. Awesome. Well, thanks for the updates and clarity on that, Willie.
You bet. See ya.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's kind of where we're at, guys. As a reminder, there is no tokenomics call next Tuesday. It sounds like the TMDC is amenable to meeting next week, subject to limited availability. We're going to play that one by ear. It's possible maybe we'll only meet once. Of course, it all kind of depends on if there's important or time-sensitive issues to address. But things feel relatively well in hand, I think, in terms of just these various initiatives. Yeah, it's been a hell of a fucking year. My God. But I think we'll all look back on this as a time when the DAO really proved its mettle and, kind of coalesced this core group we have. And we'll look back on this as when, the DAO really kind of made a stand and like, okay, we'll be much more successful in the future. And it's because we fought through this difficult situation, difficult market, and found a product market fit. Of course, there surely will be further challenges in 2023. I don't think this bear market will be going anywhere anytime soon. But that doesn't mean we can't continue to make progress on these various fronts. And I think all the tools are here to do exactly what we need to do to survive the bear market. We have excellent monitoring and tracking capabilities thanks to Darwin's dashboards. We have DeFi tools that we can use to great effect to diversify the treasury. And we have a great team here at the DAO, or a great group of contributors to contribute ideas. So yeah, I'll give you some more thoughts on kind of the macro and kind of the big picture of ShapeShift tokenomics in the upcoming proposal. But yeah, thanks guys for being here through a crazy and wild year, and looking forward to more success, or basically us changing the fucking world in the future. That's my idea of success. Happy holidays, everybody. And in the meantime, we'll certainly be around in tokenomics. So if you have any thoughts, drop by the tokenomics channel, and take care. Have a great week.